It's my naked Kayo 150. I just took the upper fairing off. What I want to show is revisions I've made to the braking system. I put a shorter cable on because the old one was too long. But I made changes. The cable has separate fittings that screw on, so I have adjustability here to make the cable how I want. So one of the changes I made was a 90-degree bend coming out of the bleed nipple here, so that I can get the Allen wrench on the bolt there before it came straight down, the banjo on the end of the cable, and it covered this, and there was no way to loosen the caliper without actually taking the brake line off, which is super messy. Anyway, so I put a new cable on here, and I'm using a 20-inch long hose. I keep saying cable, it's actually a hose. And I've run it up here like this. The idea is to shorten it so it's a direct shot all the way up to the top at the master cylinder. Less hose, and it's also any air bubbles won't get stuck because it's changing direction, things like that. It's all uphill. Air flows uphill in a fluid. The other thing at the other end, I have also put a banjo on the end of the hose here to the handlebar. That's about 20 degrees. Again, so instead of coming straight out and going uphill, the bend allows the hose to be routed so it's uphill all the way. Air bubbles again can travel up the hose, up to the master cylinder, and get bled at the nipple here. So overall, that's the change I've made with hose routing. Just trying to be more efficient. Less hose to get in the way as the bike steers. Again, I want to make sure the hose isn't hitting the center mount there. I have electrics here that look like they're kind of in the way, but when you steer left and right, well, you have to live with some compromises. Anyway, just trying to make this a little more effective. From up above, I have not bled my brake line after switching it out, so it's full of air. One thing I know that it's going uphill and it's routed efficiently is that if I can look in the reservoir here, I can almost self-bleed. You can see the bubbles coming out. I'm operating the lever here, and as I compress it, you will see the bubbles rise to the top and the fluid is slowly filling the line. I have to be patient here, but I can almost bleed the brakes just by operating the brake lever. I'm still going to get some air stuck here at this bleed nipple. That'll be the final step, but I'm not having to get out a bleeder down here and suck all the air out the bottom. Instead, I'm letting gravity do the job. Again, less tools, less mess, and I'm lazy. But if I continue to work this, I'll eventually get most of my bubbles out. I need to remember to refill the reservoir. But so far, this is pretty effective and easy. Okay, after about 2 minutes, I am now getting brake pressure in the lever. It doesn't come all the way back to the bar, but it's very squishy. Let's see, I am no longer getting any air bubbles coming out the top. So that tells me I probably have all the fluid I'm going to get in the line, and that the line is likely full. I'm going to take the bleed nipple off next and bleed that last bit of air, which is probably trapped right there, and hopefully that will finish it off. Okay, final little bit here. I am going to press the lever in, put a little pressure on it, and just crack the bleed screw. There we go. That should have been the last bit of air. Let the lever back out, and look at that. Full pressure, no longer going to the bar. It feels good and firm. Now we just need to fill it up. It's back on the bike. The brake hose in there has been routed. The important thing to note is that the hose here has ample clearance on the fairing. There's banjo. No problems at all. Mission accomplished.